Hi everyone, welcome back to another camp video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how much it really costs to go and do Camp America. I wanted to film this video because it's not just the agency fees that you're going to be paying. There is so much more that you need to pay for and that you need to consider before you sign up to go and do Camp America, because likely chances are you're not going to make a profit from doing Camp America. At the end of the day, it is a cultural experience and you're probably going to lose more money than you actually make. Today I'm going to be sharing with you every little bit of money that I spent on Camp America. Everything from the agency fees to your visa to spending money. I worked it all out and I've got it written down, and I'm going to share with you just how much it costs to do Camp America. So I did Camp America for the first time last year in 2024, and then I went again this year in 2025 to the same camp. So this year I was a returner, but I'm only going to go through everything that it cost me last year because I think it's generally more expensive in your first year, not just with your agency fees but with the travel, and it's your first time so you get really excited and you want to spend more money. I also think it's better and more informative as a first year rather than a returner, so I feel like it's not really necessary to film it as a returner. So like I said, I'm going to talk you through step by step the process and how much each process costs. I went with Camp America Australia, obviously, so for the sake of this video everything is going to be in Australian dollars and then you can convert it into whatever currency you're going to be using. I also applied on the 1st of May in 2023, so yes, prices are going to be different, but I think I got the early bird discount as well. So I have been on the website and I have checked what the prices are these days, and I'll share that with you and the difference between the two. Okay, to begin with, the first thing you need to consider is your agency fees. There is a $99 Camp America application fee, which essentially just signs you up for Camp America and you create your own account and you have access to your own portal. So that cost me $99 back 2 years ago, and it also still costs $99. Essentially, it's just setting you up for your Camp America interview. It's not like I pay $99 and you need to be accepted, because I'm fairly certain everyone is accepted. I mean, maybe there's a few exceptions, but I don't think you're going to lose your $99. It's only if you apply, you pay your $99 fee, and then you decided to pull out, you don't get that $99 back, but it's unlikely that they're going to say to you, no, you haven't been accepted. Okay, and then after that, you go to your interview and they pretty much just ask you a couple questions about yourself, your experience, and your preferences for camp. It's honestly just a conversation. I wouldn't be stressed. It's not like a job interview. The lady was so chill. She was like a friend. It was just a conversation. She just asked you a couple of questions. It was nothing serious. It was not like you're gonna pass or fail this interview, because I feel like most people pass their interview. And so once I passed my interview, it cost me $300. Again, like I said, I had an early bird discount, so I'm not really sure what it would have been back in the day. I feel like it was $400 for each part. On the website today, if you pass your interview, it costs you $326. Like I said, you're probably going to pass your interview. So after that, and you pass your interview, you have access to all of the camps and you can start applying to camps. Camps can reach out to you, but I suggest that you go and apply for your own camps. I had a couple reach out to me and I just found that they weren't what I was looking for, and I felt like I wasn't going to actually get the camp that I wanted if I didn't apply myself. So I sent a couple applications out, and I really suggest that you do this. Even though you pay a fee for Camp America to do this and to set you up with other camps, I want to say that it's fairly unlikely that you're going to get a camp that you really want, that you really like. So I suggest going and applying yourself. Yes, you pay a huge chunk of money, but you have access to all of the camps, so I would go and apply for camps myself if I were you. Once you finally get placed, you pay another fee, and like I said, back then it cost me $300, but today it costs $474. And it says on the website for today I'm filming this in October, I'm fairly certain that you can get an early bird discount fee still. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be until the 1st of September. But like I said, I'm filming this in October and the website didn't say anything about an early bird discount fee. So if you were to apply from today onwards for next year, the 2026 season, your application, your interview fee, and your placement fee in total cost you $899 for first timers. Like I said, because this is personally my experience, I had an early bird discount fee and I had it 2 years ago. It cost me $699, which I think is the returner fee. I thought I would quickly just jump on the website as well and just share with you what exactly you get for this $899 fee. Like I said, you apply, you have your interview, and then you have access to all the camps, but there's also a lot more that goes into the fees. Like, it's not just you're throwing money at them. So it says that if you pay like all the fees. You have a guaranteed summer camp placement. All of your meals and accommodation at camp are paid for. You have medical insurance for your full trip, so including after camp travel as well. Your pocket money, your J1 visa sponsorship and expert assistance. So you need to be sponsored by an agency to go to a camp. It's not your camp that sponsors you. So to get your J1 visa, it is the agency that actually sponsors you. And then when it says assistance, it kind of just means that you can email them and ask them for advice and everything. They were supportive when I got my visa, but they can't do the process for you. You get 24/7 in-country support, so when you're overseas you can contact them 24/7. And with your J1 visa and their sponsorship for the J1 visa, you get up to 30 days travel before camp and after camp. And then again, if you're with Australia, it says you get exclusive deals with Flight Centre. I do remember Flight Centre reaching out to me, seeing if I wanted to book my flights through them, but I had a different circumstance. I was flying to Canada before I went to America, so I booked my own flights. It's up to you if you want to book your own flights or go through Flight Centre. I know a couple of my friends from England, they went through their agency and they said it was perfectly fine, so it's up to you. And then the final one, not really interesting, but just says savings if you combine winter work Canada and winter work Japan, but not really relevant right now. Okay, so after you pay all of your Camp America fees and you're in, you have a camp and everything like that, the process gets rolling. And so you are required to get a police check. In Australia, it cost me $42.11. And then after that, I had 2 doctor's appointments, but you could definitely do this in one. I just didn't realize that I could. Also, this obviously depends on your doctor and where you live. When I went to my doctor's appointment, my first one was for my vaccinations and it cost me $61.40. And my second one was for my Camp America form to be filled out and it cost me $61.40. But again, you could get them at the same time, or depending on your doctor, it might not cost you as much. Okay, this is the big one, and I feel like a lot of people are confused about this because trust me, I was confused about it last year and I was again confused about it this year. So the process does not get any easier and it is confusing, but I've written down everything that it cost me to do my visa and my process. Like I said, I was living in Australia and I am from Brisbane, so my closest embassy is in Sydney, so I had to fly down to Sydney. Thankfully, I have family down there. I'm from Sydney, so I didn't pay for any accommodation, but my flights cost me $239.44. And then you have to pay an application fee or an MRV fee online when you fill out your application, and that cost me $296. And then there is a service fee and it's $53.02. You need to pay that because it gives you a receipt that you need to take to your interview, I believe. And then Australians do, I'm not sure if everyone else does, but we pay it at the embassy. So make sure that you take your card with you, not your phone, your card. You have to pay an issuance fee and it cost me $122.85. And then because I was living in Brisbane, I had to get my passport returned to me and it cost me $52, but if you live near the embassy, then you can probably go and pick it up. Side note, in your first year, you have to go to the embassy, and then in your second year, you can get it sent to the embassy, but in your first year, you must go to the embassy. So in total, for my visa, with my flights included to go down to Sydney, it cost me $763.31, but if I didn't fly down to Sydney without my flights, it cost me $523.87. And then I added my flights to Canada or to camp, which I got one way, and I highly suggest getting one way. I've talked about this in my camp advice video so many times, but you probably will want to travel after your first year of camp, so I would suggest getting a one-way flight, but if you have to get a return, then you have to get a return. Like I said, I was coming from Australia, so it cost me a lot more money than if you were coming from a country closer like the UK. My flights to Canada / camp was $1,261.62. So all in all, my total cost before leaving for camp was $2,888.84. And that's not including like everything that I went and bought, like all my shopping trips and everything. If I was to tell you how much it was without my flight, just like with your agency fees and your visa, it cost me $1,627.22. But yeah, just remember that you will have to include your flights in that, obviously. But yeah, like I said, this does not consider all of the things that I bought for camp, and I bought a lot of stuff. I want to say I spent like $500 on stuff that I bought. So just consider what things you're going to buy. But like I said, it's up to you. It's your experience. Maybe you don't need to buy as much stuff as I did. Maybe you have everything. It's up to you. Just think about it. Okay, now we're getting into the spending money and everything that I spent at camp. So I took some cash with me. I don't know how much cash I took, maybe like $100. I do suggest taking a little bit of cash, but I've just written down everything that was in my bank statement. And it was a lot, so prepare yourself. So my camp was in Pennsylvania, which was about an hour and a half from Philadelphia. So every off day that we had was usually in Philadelphia. So I considered how much money I spent for my hotels and then how much I spent during my off day. So I had 4 off days overnight and I spent 3 nights in Philly and 1 night in a small town just by camp. And so all my hotels cost me $365.51, which I don't think is that bad. So that's for just my hotels or my Airbnbs. And then I calculated all of the purchases that I spent at camp / on my off days. This includes all of my online shopping, my Walmart trips, my Wawa trips, food that I got on my off days, and any experiences that I did. And in total, it cost me $1,262.05. And I'm gonna say in my first year, and I don't know about many people, but personally I think a lot of people are going to camp for the experience, which I personally think that you should be, and you're not really trying to be careful about your money. And so I spent just over $1,000, and so I highly suggest that you take $1,000 Australian at least. Like I said, I spent so much money, so this is so doable to be able to spend less than $1,000, but I just suggest with everything considering, I would take at least $1,000 spending money. Some people see this differently. I've seen people suggesting to take $500 and then people suggesting to take $5,000. I think $1,000 is enough. I spent $1,262 and I spent quite a bit. Like, I was not careful about my spending, so take that with a grain of salt. So for the hotels and for my spending money, it cost me $1,627.56. So yeah, completely doable if you take $1,000. My hotels did not cost me that much at all. It cost me less than $500, so you can definitely do it with $1,000. Okay, and then before I add up my entire total, I just wanted to give you a couple pieces of advice. I was talking about before about your return flights. I really want to say that most people at my camp for the first years went traveling after camp or spent a couple extra days in New York. So I had extra money with me, but I spent my money that I earned at camp on my travels after camp, and a lot of people do that. So when I suggest taking $1,000 spending money, yes, I am talking about at camp, but also a lot of people spend their money that they earn from camp to go traveling. So I wouldn't stress if you're not going to have any money to go traveling. Also think about that you're probably going to be paid in cash. We were paid like a check and then we went to the bank and we cashed it in and we got cash. So unless you set up an account to do a Western Union deposit transfer to your home account, then you might not be able to buy your flights when you're overseas. And so what I mean by that is I think you should have enough money in your bank account to buy your flights home, because it is likely that you'll probably be paid in cash. Okay, so I think that's all of the money that I spent before I went for camp and then the money that I spent at camp, and I think that's all the advice that I have for you at this moment in time in terms of money. If you have any questions, please let me know. But all in all, my total that I spent for Camp America was $3,254.78, and that's not including my travels after camp, my flights back from the US, so my return flight. It's just including my one-way flight. So just to end off this video, I want to remind you that you're probably not going to camp to earn money. Maybe if you live a little bit closer, like I know a few people from Mexico that go over to the US to earn a little bit more money than they would in 8 weeks being here. But if you're coming from somewhere like Australia, New Zealand, probably the UK, you're probably not going there to earn money. And overall, it is a cultural experience, and I do have a video coming out to explain this a little bit more and whether or not you should be doing Camp America and if it's for the right reasons. In my first year, I definitely did not make as much money as I spent overall, but it was such a good experience, and I was able to travel the US before I went to camp and after camp. I went to Canada, I went to Mexico. Like, I had such a good experience. But in my second second year I got paid a lot more, and so I definitely made a profit this year, but that's just a personal reason for you. If you like it enough in your first year, I think that's a great way to do it. You know that going into it in your first year, you're definitely not going to make money out of it, but if you like it enough, you decide to go back a second year and you will make money out of it. So it's totally up to you. But yeah, that's everything that I have to share with you today. I hope this video was helpful. I definitely would have loved to have watched a video like this that explained every little bit of money that they spent. But yeah, like I said, convert the money into your currency, see how much it is. But for me, it was about $3,000. Just to remind you, that is somebody that was not careful about their spending habits. Like, I spent a lot more. If you do see that you're running low on money, stop spending money. But yeah, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I have more camp videos coming out. I also have a camp playlist if you want to go check that out. There's so many advice videos, shopping hauls, everything like that. So go and check that out, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video very soon.